The goblins are all tuckered out after raiding the barn we built last time, and now they need a place to take a nap. Luckily, James from DM Today Job had an idea.
Goblins love haystacks. You know why? Because if you go sleep in the barn, then some random adventurer might come up and end your goblin existence. If you go sleep in the haystack, they won't see you when they come creeping around to muddle in your goblin business, and then you can pop out and kill them.
That sounded like a fantastic idea, so let's make a few hollow haystacks we can hide goblins, treasure and tokens in. I used this capsule for the basic shape. It's one of those that's used to pack toys into chocolate Easter eggs. Now, I understand that these may not be common in the US, but you can probably find something that's the right shape and size to work off. The important thing about these is that they're smooth and made out of polyethylene, which means that PVA glue won't stick to them. And they are slightly flexible. You'll see why this is useful in a minute. To build up the shape, I used our old friend toilet paper. Yes, I'm pretty sure that the people I buy this from think something is terribly wrong with my guts. The first layer tends to tear up easily, so I used 3 squares and painted slightly watered down PVA on them. After that, I just kept adding squares and painting PVA on them until the capsule was covered. This took about 10 squares. After drying overnight, this was solid, so I popped it off the capsule. If the glue is completely dry, it will come off easily, but at most you might need to work it a little to get it free. If you left a lot of overhang, like I did on this one, now is the time to cut off the excess. You don't need to worry about the jagged edges at the bottom, as we'll be sorting those out next. I put the blanks down on the lid from a box of ice cream, also polyethylene, and added more toilet paper around the bottom edge. This time I folded a square a couple of times and painted it on to get a bit of a fall off. This makes the shape look a bit better as it doesn't abruptly cut off, but it also levels it out so it sits on the ground better. Again, I left this to dry overnight and popped it off the plastic. Before I started adding in the hay, I painted the blank an orange yellow color. This isn't strictly necessary, but I'm thinking long term here. The hay will get worn off eventually as this handled, and I don't want star white patches showing until I've had time to repair that. Okay, we need to add the hay next, and luckily there's a perfect material for that. Hay is just dried grass. You know what is also dried grass? Hemp twine. This is the same material I use for my homemade static grass, but this time we're going to skip the dyeing process and use it as it is. I cut a few lengths of string, then kept cutting them up to get the individual fibers. The fibers will separate themselves if you cut them short enough, but if you give the string a little twist while you're cutting it, it will encourage them to separate even if they're a bit longer. To glue on the fibers, I painted diluted PVA on the blank and used a sieve to shake the fibers onto it. It's easiest to do this in patches. Ideally, you want to get a good coverage, but don't worry about it too much because we're going to repeat this a few times. When the first pass was completely dry, I dripped a 50-50 solution of surgical alcohol and water on the piece before applying more watered down PVA. The idea here is that the water alcohol mix will run into and between the fibers. As it dries, it will pull the glue into places it's normally too viscous to get into, so everything is solidly glued together. You could put more fibers on with a sieve, but since we have a good rough texture now, you can also gently push clumps in like I did here. You don't want to press them in too hard, just arrange them with your fingers as gently as you can. Always let the glue dry completely between layers, and repeat this until your haystacks are at a level of fluffiness you're happy with. At that point you can give them another pass with alcohol, water and PVA. At this point, the stacks will be pretty solid, but since PVA, at least the one I use, can be reactivated by water, I gave them a few coats of varnish inside and out, to keep the moisture off them. Now your goblins have somewhere to take a nap while they're waiting for annoying adventurers to pass by, and you can also use these to hide tokens, or an actual needle if you wanted to. Layering toilet paper over a form to make shapes is an extremely versatile technique that I'm sure will come in handy in the future. But if you want to see how I'd use it to make rock surfaces, check out this video right here. Bye!